And Michelle, thank you for leading us with the prelude and throughout the service in some music of joy and celebration and worship. I hope you caught that whole message of the awesomeness of God in our lives and in our world. How many of you have been leaf peeping? What's your favorite color? Orange. Well, it certainly is everywhere. Orange is the color of the season. The red of the maple. Has our flaming bush started flaming it, Ren? Not yet? Now we have a micro climate out front of the church. We have a flaming, burning bush that will turn bright red, but things haven't happened yet. Okay, but here's my question. I've been asking this theological question for 40 years now. Why do they turn these colors? Yes? That's the best answer, absolutely. I usually have, now I know we have a PhD in the house, but it's not in biology or is it? I don't know. But usually I have a scientist in the house that tells me about the chemicals and the sunlight and the temperature and the change in what's going on inside but that's how. That's a science question. Yeah. That's not my question. My theological question is why? Now we understand that lots of the other things in the springtime, we've got buds and flowers and they have scents and they have nectar and they have colors and aroma that attracts pollinators and all of that. But what's the point of these colors? They just fall off and die. Who cares? We seem to like it because it's pretty, it's beautiful, it's delightful, it's joyful. What's that? It's nice before, well, the white snow can be nice. It's nice before the barren trees. That's just kind of like stark. And November to me is always this gray, stark thing. I think the Creator was delighted, is delighted, and delights for us to be delighted because it's beauty and awesome and kind of unnecessary, except that beauty is necessary. Awesomeness is necessary. Now, it would seem that this whole message from God, taking Job on this worldwide trip all over the universe, seeing everything from its vast beginning. Anybody watch Lucy? I am not talking about Ricky and his husband. I am talking about Lucy. What's Lucy? Oh, get out of the 60s. No. Lucy just blasted off the other night. The spaceship went out into the far reaches of the universe, or at least as far as we reached into the universe, to collide in 12 years. Where are we all going to be then? In 12 years. I don't know what's going on the Earth in 12 years. But anyway, Lucy's going to be rocketing to a couple of asteroids, trying to find out the answers to these questions that Almighty God is posing to Job. Where were you when I started all of this? Because we want to know. We want to try to understand. But it's a bit much. And the why, Lucy will not answer. The why are we here? And what are we supposed to do with the being here-ness? And how this answer from God to Job is so different than Genesis 1 and the creation story, which looks like we are the center of everything God has ever made, and the only most important thing in the entire world is us. Thank you so very much. In this one, all of a sudden, we look really tiny, very small, kind of insignificant. Does the universe even know we're here? And does it matter? Because Job, of course, has been all caught up in everything that's swirling around, going down the drain in his life. But if we take the story of Job out of just looking at this one man's unfortunate loss of all privilege and back it up and think for a minute. You know, Job is kind of like, who was the head of the house in Downton Abbey? Well, yes, the women actually. But we need to see it like that. Job was the head of a giant household, an amazing manor, a great Asian potentate. Because remember, he lost houses and fields and flocks and servants. All of those things, the whole economy collapsed in this story. This is not just about this one person. This is about everything around them. People lost their livelihoods, they lost their jobs, they lost their homes, they lost their economy, they lost their nutrition. It's all gone. That's what this is a story about. It's set for us as a grand opera or a daytime drama, but where it just all is a mess, and those who survive are crying out and saying, wait a minute, why did this happen? We didn't do anything wrong. Why have we lost all of this? Job gets to speak for all of those. Because otherwise we dismiss Job and he just looks like a whiny rich guy who kind of lost stuff and then gets it back in the end. Because this story was written to the people of God who lost it. They had nice homes. They had gotten to the promised land with Moses. It was really nice, flowing milk and honey, very fertile, wonderful economy, great food and everything else. And they lost it. They got exiled. People were murdered and raped and tortured and taken away, and it was gone. And they said, God, hi, remember us? Like Moses, you take care of us. You were going to be blessing us. And like, this is not good. Why? We didn't do it perfect, but we tried. Why is everything gone wrong? They, through Job, are asking that question. And sometimes we look around and all we see is what's gone wrong in our lives. All we see is what didn't work out. And the assumption is that if we did it right, it would have worked out right. But we've been talking about that with Job and the wisdom of Job, and trying to wrestle with the understanding that it is not a quid pro quo between you and me and God. That if we behave, it all goes smooth. That things are bigger than that. So, okay, so what good is God? What are we after? Why are we here? We're tiny. We're a little tiny. Oh, they're not up there anymore anyway. I don't see them anymore. The Zoom people. It's just a few of us. We're a little teeny tiny church. A few people gathering together, struggling to hold on, wondering what happened to everybody and everything else. Where are you, God? We're worshiping, we're praying, we're giving, we're serving, we're believing, we're witnessing. What's going on? God takes us and Job and lifts us up to see a huger, bigger picture. All happens for a reason. That's not where I'm going, because I have a hard time with that one. But is God doing something powerful and amazing? That's where I can go. That God is on the side of life. Life wills out. This is the wrong season for it, but anybody have to deal with weeds in your garden, in your sidewalk? Why? How did, there's nothing there, there's no soil, there's nothing, how on earth, there's concrete. Why do they grow? Life wants to live. God is on the side of life and abundance and flourishing and health and wholeness and nourishing and working in all ways possible to bring things toward that end. Jesus kept talking about the realm of God coming here and now and saying it's amazing. And so where Jesus went, there was nutrition, there was food. Where Jesus went, there was healing. Where Jesus went, there was welcome, there was forgiveness. Where Jesus went, there was new possibility and wholeness. Where Jesus went, people were no longer lame. And yet there were a whole bunch of other people. Jesus even talks about that. A whole bunch of other people that didn't get healed, that didn't have food that day, that didn't have a warm bed, that didn't have friends around them. But that didn't stop Jesus from going forward and doing, and then looking forward and realizing that this may not end well, easily, simply, comfortably, because there are other forces in the world. Selfish forces that only see that they are the only most important thing in the world and haven't gotten the bigger picture. So the uncanny thing is, of course, he just finished saying all that the way is going to be difficult, that it's going to end. And this is the most dramatic presentation of the death of Christ in the Gospel of Mark. The third time he's done this, and this time he goes into detail. Spit upon, hit, tortured, maligned, murdered, dead. He talks about all of it. He says, this is not going to end well. This new realm I'm talking about is going to be hard. And as soon as he says that, the guys start arguing and say, yeah, but like, which one of us is going to be first? Which one of us is going to be on the left and the right? And of course, which ones were on the left and right? Who were on the left and right? There were two on the left and right of Jesus. Two thieves on two other crosses. That's who got to be on his left and his right. And one of them, at least, got it. That things were bigger than him. That there was a greater world, and there might be suffering and sacrifice, but there could be forgiveness and connection and restoration and hope. So what are we to do? Except be a bit humble and realize we have a small part to play, but an important one. That God's doing a lot of things with a lot of other people. And for them to get the awareness that the signs of life are what is so important. We're called to be humble. We don't know everything. We are not the center of the universe. So the attitude of humility says, let me learn. And so, fine, yes, we will launch another spaceship to see what little bit more we can find out about the amazing universe God has created. And I don't know the price tag of that, but I imagine it's millions or billions of dollars to figure that out. But what's the price tag of you and me launching into the lives of others to find out about them and the secrets of the universe in their lives and what God is doing in their lives? What heartache and what pain and suffering are they enduring? What hopes and dreams for a future unrealized do they have? Because that's the gift of life, trying to burst forth from the concrete in their lives. To approach our neighbors and our strangers with an inquisitiveness, to learn all about them, to be, as Jesus describes it, humble servants. Don't you love it? Those servants that just like stand at the ready in Downton Abbey, they know. They know before anybody seated at the head table wants something, they're there for it because they are waiting in anticipation and awareness. That's what we are called to be, aware of the lives of people around us and what really they are yearning for. Whether they are the hungry and the homeless, whether they are the merchants or the politicians, the workers or the neighbors, they all have dreams and hopes. They all have heartaches and pain. They all have things that are trying to burst through the concrete. Who are you? Where are you? What is life like for you? What are your struggles and what makes you human? What are your dreams and hopes and plans? What do you need to live a fully human life? I don't have the answers. I don't. But I've met the one who does. We claim to have connected to the one who has the answers about hopes and dreams and life itself. We share that hope and that dream, that faith that shows that God is actually involved in the hopes and dreams and the heartaches. God is searching for health and well-being, a creativity in the future that's surprising. We do have something to share with others, a righteousness, a good relationship with one another. What are our rights and our responsibilities? We have a right to live while we're alive and breathing, but we have a responsibility for the other people who are doing the same thing. Our task is to go out into the world and ask questions of it, to go out into our community and our neighborhood and ask questions. What is your life about? What are you striving for? What is in the way? What are you celebrating? To put ourselves in places and positions where we don't know, where we're not the smartest person in the room, we're not the most powerful person in the room. Oh, but if we are, then we have a responsibility to use that knowledge and power to change things and to make a difference. Our charge is even more to make ourselves more aware of others and give them an invitation into the community that God is bringing about. As followers of the one who served, that's our call. That's how we deal with it. Life doesn't turn out the way we might imagine it, but we can be part of something huge and amazing. That we might be tiny. We might be a small little church in a tiny rural county in upstate New York, in a city that's struggling to find its rebirth. But that's part of something huge and amazing, and we need to tap into that. We struggle with our neighbors and our friends and our politicians and our merchants and one another to serve and to understand. And if we are called to bear witness for those who are in great need, we can stand and shout and proclaim the righteousness of God. But perhaps we need to build the relationships to know who our neighbors are and what their hopes and dashed dreams are and what their humanity is. And then also what we have to share, because we believe there's a reason. We believe there's a purpose. We believe there's a hope. We believe that there's a plan for growth and life. That we are not the center of the universe, but the universe is desiring for hope and change. We have rights. We have responsibilities. Let's go find out what's going on out there. Thanks be to God, and amen.